Okay, so eyes. I have talked about eyes before in Ceramics 1. We finished off with the monster project. And when I do eyes, I have a couple of rules or things that I like to do that make it easier. So, your eyeball is round, okay? But how much of your eye do you actually see? You really only see about maybe a quarter of your eye, if that. So it's kind of silly to take an entire ball and put it in that area, even if you do kind of pre-make a socket like we do. Okay? You still aren't going to put a giant ball in that spot. So what I have you do, or what I always suggest for people to do, is to make a ball shape and then carefully cut it in half. Right, that was not an even half, so I'm going to cut this one a little bit smaller because it's a little bit too big. There we go. So we have two halves. Alright, and that makes a little bit more sense because when we go to put this in, now it's not bulging so profusely. So once I kind of get them the right shape, kind of ovally and the right, same about the same size, okay? That's the first thing I'm going to do is score and slip these in together so that I know I'm starting at the same size base. So as I build, your eyes can stay symmetrical and similar. So I'm just going to score both of these. Okay, put this one in place. Let me score this one. Put this one in place as well. There we go. Let me look at this. Make sure that they're even before I kind of push them in. They're just about even. Use a little water, and I'm just going to push them in. Not too much, but get them firmly in there. Make sure there's no air pockets. I never fully blend it in either because I feel like that kind of ruins the lines of the eye, like the surrounding of it. And then the next thing, and this is kind of one of the key parts to this, is making the lids. Okay, I'll play with my brow line here. Might change a little bit as we build. So I even think these might be a little too big, but I'll blend them and work with them as I'm going. Kind of squish them out a little bit so they're not too high up. So I do 2 coils and I flatten them out a little bit. So if you make an oval coil, don't freak out. It can be oval. I usually flatten them out anyway. So I make a flat pancake. And I have a top and a bottom lid. So this one I'll make, let's see if this is too, that's good for the top. Okay, and then the bottom one is a little bit thinner than the top. I'm gonna make it a little smaller and then flatten it. There we go. Alright, here we go. Here's my bottom and my top. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll put this one aside. When I put the bottom in, okay, you got to score, obviously. Score and slip. I feel off my tool here. I'm using another tool. That's not working so well. There we go. Use my rib. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this area where I'm putting this piece in. It's okay because you're blending everything, so don't feel like it kind of has to be perfect. It does need to reach. Yep, that's fine. Now a little bit of water. And then I'm going to put this right about here. So what you see, if you see, it's kind of covering the seam of where the eye began and finished. And then I'm just kind of deciding it where on the eyeball I want the edge of the lid to be. Okay, always put the bottom lid on first. All right, and then I'm going to blend it to the face, not to the eyeball. Never blend your lid to the eyeball. Never do that, because then you just wind up with a round bump. Okay. There we go. I think that's good. And then I can always kind of go back and push it down a little bit or smooth it out a little. I'm going to do both sides, both bottom lids first, because I want them to be even, like completely even as possible. All right, so let me look at this one. This one's going to go up here and try to line it up with the other one in terms of positioning. There we go. I think that's good. And just break off your excess. You don't need this. There we go. We have bottom lids, and now we're going to do the top lid. And the top lid is going to do something very similar. I think this is a little thick. I'm going to cut this a little smaller, a little shorter. Score bottom here, and then I'm going to score all inside of here. You do. I have a little water. I always put the top lid on last because the sides of the top lid should overlap the bottom a little bit. Okay, that's my excess. I'll wipe that off. And then I'm going to blend this up into that preformed brow bone area that you made when you put the nose in. There we go. There's one eye. Oop, oop. And the second one, I'm going to cut. The first one. Out a little bit, score it, score here. There we go. Okay, a little border. Okay, and then just try to mirror image your arch from the other one. So let me just look at this real quick, okay? I'm gonna bring this down a little bit here. I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna break off the excess and blend and blend and blend, okay? Never blend the lid to the eyeball. Always blend the lid to the skin. Oop, oop, I smushed it a little. That's kind of good. I made a little mistake. I'll fix it for you. I'll show you how to fix it. So I smushed this little spot a little bit too much. If I take a small coil, okay, small coil, and line it over that edge again, I can blend it in with the rest. So I don't have to redo the whole eye. I could redo the lid. Two very similar eyes. I can go use a wet brush and just kind of smooth that off too when I'm done.